The rain hammered against the hotel windows as I wiped down the lobby counter for the third time tonight. Working the night shift at the Grand Riverside Hotel in Gangnam wasn't glamorous, but it paid my university tuition. At 25, I was finally close to graduating with my business degree, close to building the normal, peaceful life I'd always wanted. That dream died the moment 3 men in black suits walked through the revolving doors. Park Jae-won? The tallest one's voice cut through the empty lobby like a blade. My hands froze on the counter. Why yes. Come with us. Mr. Kong wants to see you. My heart dropped. Everyone in Seoul knew that name. Kang Mi-ho, the untouchable mafia boss who controlled half the city's underground. There must be a mistake. Your father owed us 500 million won. No mistake. He grabbed my arm with an iron grip. Let's go. They dragged me out into the rain, shoving me into a sleek black Mercedes. My mind raced. My father died 6 months ago from a heart attack. He was a gambling addict, yes, but 500 million won? That was impossible. The car wound through the neon-lit streets of Gangnam, finally stopping at an exclusive club in Itaewon, the kind with no sign, just a red door and a bouncer who looked like he could snap someone's neck. We descended into an underground space that screamed money and danger, crystal chandeliers, velvet sofas, and men in expensive suits who fell silent as I passed. At the end of the room, on a throne-like chair, sat the most beautiful and terrifying man I'd ever seen. Kang Mi-ho. He couldn't have been more than 28, but his eyes held the weight of someone who'd seen too much death. Sharp jawline, perfectly styled black hair, and a tailored suit that probably cost more than my entire year's salary. He swirled whiskey in a crystal glass, studying me like I was a curiosity he hadn't decided whether to keep or crush. Leave us, he commanded. His voice was smooth, dangerous silk. The room emptied in seconds. I stood there, dripping rainwater onto his expensive carpet, trying not to shake. He rose from his chair with predatory grace, circling me slowly. I could smell his cologne, something dark and expensive that made my head spin. Park Jae-won, he said, stopping directly behind me. His breath ghosted across my neck, making every hair stand on end. Do you know why you're here? My father's debt, I whispered. But I didn't know. 500 million won. He came around to face me, tilting my chin up with one finger. His touch was surprisingly gentle, but his eyes were ice. Your father gambled it away at my tables over 2 years. Before he died, he signed a contract promising repayment. That debt now falls to you. My legs nearly gave out. I don't have that kind of money. I'm just a student. I know everything about you, Jae-won. The casual use of my name made something flutter dangerously in my chest. Business major at Korea University. Part-time hotel clerk. Rent a tiny gazawan in Sinchon. You live paycheck to paycheck. He leaned closer, his lips almost brushing my ear. You couldn't pay back even 10 million in your lifetime. Tears burned my eyes. Then what do you want from me? His hand slid from my chin to grip my waist, pulling me flush against him. I gasped at the sudden contact, feeling the hard planes of his body through our clothes. I'm giving you 2 choices, he murmured, his voice dropping to a dangerous purr. Spend the rest of your life making minimum payments while I own you from the shadows, or work for me directly. Live in my home. Follow my orders. Belong to me completely. That's not a choice, I breathed, trembling, though whether from fear or something else, I couldn't tell. No, he agreed, his thumb tracing my bottom lip. It's not. But at least the second option comes with certain benefits. He stepped back suddenly, and I almost collapsed without his support. What's it going to be, pretty boy? I should have run. Should have chosen the payments, kept my distance from this dangerous man. But something in his eyes, a flash of loneliness beneath the ice, made me reckless. I'll work for you, I heard myself say. A slow, devastating smile curved his lips. Smart choice. He returned to his throne, pressing a button on the armrest. Hyunjin will take you to my penthouse in Hanamdong. Your things will be collected tomorrow. From this moment, Park Jae-won. His eyes darkened with possession. You're mine. As his driver escorted me out, Mi-ho called after me one last time. Oh, and Jae-won? I turned back. He stood there, backlit by the chandelier like a dark angel, his expression unreadable. Don't think about running. I always find what belongs to me. He took a slow sip of whiskey, his gaze raking over me in a way that made heat pool in my stomach. And I take very good care of my possessions. The ride to his penthouse was a blur. All I could think about was his voice in my ear, his hand on my waist, the dangerous promise in his words. I just sold my soul to the devil. And God help me, part of me was already wondering what it would feel like when he came to collect. Miho's penthouse was obscene. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Han River, marble floors that reflected the city lights, furniture that belonged in a museum. I stood in the entrance, clutching my single backpack, everything I owned fit inside it, feeling like an imposter in a palace. Your room is upstairs, second door on the right, Miho said, loosening his tie as he headed to the bar. Be ready by 8 a.m. You start work tomorrow. That was 3 weeks ago. Now, I navigated his world like I was walking on glass. By day, I managed his legitimate businesses, luxury restaurants in Cheongdam-dong, high-end hotels across Seoul. I reviewed contracts, attended meetings, played the part of the perfect assistant. Everyone treated me with cautious respect, knowing I belonged to Kang Miho. By night, I saw the truth. Men in bloodstained suits arriving at 2 a.m. Hushed phone calls about shipments and territory disputes. Miho disappearing for hours, returning with bruised knuckles and cold eyes. He never explained and I never asked. But I noticed things. The way he always made sure I ate, even when he skipped meals. How he'd drape his jacket over me when I fell asleep reviewing documents. The slight softening in his expression when he thought I wasn't looking. Kang Miho was dangerous. Ruthless. Terrifying. And I was falling for him. Tonight, everything changed. We were at a meeting in Myeongdong, some underground gambling den where Miho was negotiating with another gang. I stood behind him, silent and observant like always. The other boss, a scarred man named Han Sungri, kept staring at me with hungry eyes. Pretty thing you've got there, Mihoya, Sungri sneered. How much for a night? The temperature in the room dropped. He's not for sale, Miho said quietly. Too quietly. Everything has a price. Sungri reached out, his fingers grazing my wrist. It happened so fast. One moment Sungri was leering at me, the next his face was slammed against the table, Miho's hand crushing his neck. Touch what's mine again, Miho whispered with deadly calm, and I'll feed you your own fingers. He dragged me out, his grip on my hand almost painful. We didn't speak during the ride home. The moment we entered the penthouse, he spun me around, backing me against the door. Are you hurt? His hands ran over my arms, my shoulders, checking for injuries with frantic urgency. I'm fine, I breathed, stunned by the raw concern in his eyes. He touched you. Miho's jaw clenched. He put his filthy hands on you. Miho! You don't understand. His forehead dropped to mine, his breathing ragged. When I saw him touch you, I wanted to kill him. Burn down his entire organization. I would have started a war for you, Jaiwon. My heart hammered against my ribs. Why? His eyes met mine, dark, tortured, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen. Because you're not just my debt collector anymore. You're... He swallowed hard. You're everything I shouldn't want but can't stop craving. Then stop holding back, I whispered, my hands fisting in his shirt. Something broke in him. His mouth crashed onto mine, desperate and possessive. I gasped, and he deepened the kiss, walking me backward through the penthouse. We stumbled into his office, our bodies colliding with furniture, hands frantically pulling at clothes. He lifted me onto his desk, the city lights of Seoul glittering behind us through the massive windows. Tell me to stop, he growled against my lips, his hands sliding under my shirt. Tell me you don't want this. Don't stop, I begged, pulling him closer. Don't you dare stop. His control shattered. You've been teasing me for weeks, he murmured, his lips trailing fire down my neck. Walking around my home, looking so innocent, so perfect. Do you know how hard it's been not to touch you? Then touch me, I challenged, trembling with need. His eyes darkened with pure hunger. Careful what you wish for, Jaiwon. His hand gripped my thigh, spreading my legs wider. Once I start, I won't be able to stop. You'll be mine completely. I'm already yours, I admitted, the truth spilling out. I've been yours since that first night. He kissed me again, slower this time, but no less intense. His hands mapped every inch of my body like he was memorizing me. Mine, he whispered against my skin. Only mine. That night, Kang Mi-ho claimed me in every way possible. On his desk, against the windows, eventually in his bed, a place he'd never invited me before. He was demanding, possessive, overwhelming, but also tender in moments that made my chest ache. Afterward, as we lay tangled in silk sheets, he pulled me against his chest. His fingers traced lazy patterns on my shoulder. I don't deserve you, he said quietly into the darkness. I looked up at him. Why do you do this? The violence, the crime. It's all I know. His expression shuddered. It's all I've ever been. I don't believe that. He laughed bitterly. You're too innocent for this world, Jaiwan. For my world. Then show me, I challenged, cupping his face. Show me who you really are. For a moment, he looked at me like I was something precious and breakable. Then he kissed my forehead. Get some sleep. You have no idea what you're asking for. But I did know. I was asking to see the man behind the monster. The lonely soul hidden behind ruthless power. I was asking to fall completely, dangerously in love with Kang Mi-ho. And as he held me tighter, his heartbeat steady beneath my ear, I realized something terrifying. There was no going back now. 2 months had passed since that night in Miho's office. 2 months of stolen kisses, heated encounters, and a connection that went far beyond physical need. But Miho still kept his heart locked away. We fell into a pattern. He'd pull me close at night, whispering my name like a prayer, touching me like I was the only thing keeping him human. Then morning would come, and the walls would rise again. Cold, distant, the untouchable mafia boss. It was killing me. We're going to Busan, Miho announced one morning over coffee. 3 days. Business with the southern families. The trip started normally enough. Meetings in expensive hotels, negotiations in private rooms overlooking the ocean. I played my role perfectly, the silent, beautiful assistant who took notes and looked decorative. On the second night, everything went wrong. We were returning to our safe house in Haeundae when the ambush happened. 3 black vans, dozens of armed men, all belonging to the Jong crime family, Miho's biggest rivals. Stay behind me, Miho shouted, pulling out his gun. Chaos erupted. Gunfire, screaming, blood. Miho's men fought back, but we were outnumbered. I watched in horror as bodies fell, as Miho moved through the violence like a dark angel of death. Then I saw it, a gunman aiming directly at my head. Jaiwan. Miho's eyes went wide. He threw himself in front of me just as the trigger was pulled. The bullet hit his shoulder. He went down hard. No! I screamed, catching him as he fell. Blood bloomed across his white shirt, hot and terrifying against my hands. Miho, stay with me. His men eliminated the remaining attackers. Within minutes, we were rushing to the safe house, a secluded beach villa where a private doctor was already waiting. The next few hours were a nightmare. The doctor removed the bullet, stitched him up, promised he'd be fine. But Miho had lost a lot of blood. He drifted in and out of consciousness, pale and vulnerable in a way I'd never seen. I refused to leave his side. On the third night, as moonlight streamed through the windows and ocean waves crashed outside, Miho finally woke up. His eyes found me immediately, sitting in a chair beside his bed. You stayed, he whispered, his voice rough. Of course I stayed, you idiot. Tears I'd been holding back finally spilled over. You almost died. You took a bullet for me. I'd take 1,000 bullets for you. He reached out weakly and I grabbed his hand, pressing it to my cheek. Jaiwan, why won't you let me in? I demanded, all my frustration pouring out. You touch me like I'm everything, then push me away. You die for me but won't tell me why. I can't keep doing this, Miho. I can't keep loving someone who won't love me back. You love me? His eyes went wide, vulnerable. Of course I love you. I laughed bitterly through my tears. I'm completely, stupidly in love with you. And it's destroying me because you'll never. I was 7 when they killed my family. The words stopped me cold. Miho stared at the ceiling, his jaw tight. My father wasn't always in this life. He was a prosecutor, one of the few honest ones. He was building a case against the Choi crime family, gathering evidence, preparing to take them down. His voice cracked. They burned our house down. My mother, my little sister, I heard them screaming. I couldn't save them. Miho. I clutched his hand tighter. The Choi family had found me in the ashes. Instead of killing me, he raised me, trained me, turned me into this. He gestured to himself with disgust. A monster. A killer. Everything my father fought against. You're not a monster, I said fiercely. I've killed people, Jaiwon. Dozens. I've done terrible things. To survive. I moved to the bed, carefully lying beside him. You were a child. You did what you had to do. He turned to face me, tears finally sliding down his cheeks. Everyone I love dies or leaves. My family, my innocence, any chance at being someone normal. And then you walked into my life, this beautiful, pure thing, and I knew I'd destroy you too. But I couldn't stay away. You won't destroy me, I whispered, wiping his tears. I'm stronger than you think. You make me want to be better. His hand cupped my face. You make me want to be the man my father hoped I'd become. Not this thing I am. Then be that man, I said. With me. He pulled me closer, mindful of his injury, kissing me with a tenderness that made my heart ache. This wasn't the possessive, demanding Miho. This was the real him, broken, scared, hoping desperately that he deserved something good. I love you, he breathed against my lips. God help me, I love you so much it terrifies me. Say it again, I demanded. I love you, Park Jaiwon. He kissed my forehead, my nose, my lips. I love you. I love you. We made love slowly, carefully, with him injured and vulnerable. It wasn't rough or desperate like before. It was intimate, real, two broken people finding wholeness in each other. Afterward, as we lay wrapped in each other under the moonlight, Miho's fingers traced patterns on my bare back. When we get back to Seoul, he said quietly, I'm going to change things. Get out of this life. Find a way to be worthy of you. You're already worthy, I told him. But even as I held him close, listening to the ocean waves, a chill ran down my spine. Because men like Miho didn't just walk away from this world. And something told me our biggest test was still coming. We returned to Seoul with hope. Miho meant what he said. He was leaving this life behind. For me. For us. But the past doesn't let go so easily. Park Jaiwon. I looked up from my coffee at the cafe near campus. A man in a crisp prosecutor's badge stood before me, handsome, refined, with kind eyes that seemed at odds with his profession. I'm Yoon Ji-hoon, he said, sitting down uninvited. An old friend of Miho's. We need to talk. My blood ran cold. I have nothing to say to you. I'm offering you a way out. He slid a folder across the table. Witness protection. A new identity. Freedom from Kang Miho and his world. All you have to do is testify against him. I stared at the folder like it was a snake. You want me to betray him. I want to save you. Ji-hoon's expression was earnest. Miho and I grew up together, before everything. I know what he's capable of. The violence, the manipulation. You think you love him, but it's Stockholm Syndrome. Don't. I stood abruptly. You don't know anything about us. I know he's destroyed everything he's ever touched, Ji-hoon said quietly. Don't let him destroy you too. I walked out, but his words haunted me. That night, I couldn't sleep, staring at Miho's peaceful face in the darkness. Could I really stay in this world? Watch him sink deeper into violence despite his promises? I never got the chance to decide. 3 days later, I was grabbed outside the university library. A black hood over my head, chloroform burning my lungs, then nothing. I woke up in an abandoned warehouse in Incheon, tied to a chair. A man circled me, scarred, vicious, with eyes like a dead fish. Choi Won. He introduced himself with a cruel smile. You're the pretty little thing that made Kang Miho soft. Terror seized me. This was the crime family that killed Miho's parents. The man who raised him. He's not coming for you, Taewon said, though his eyes said otherwise. You're just a toy he'll replace. His phone rang. He answered, then his smile widened. Miho wants to negotiate. How sweet. Miho's POV briefly. I'd burned through half of Seoul looking for him. When Taiwan's call came, offering a trade, Jaiwan for me, I didn't hesitate. Hyung, it's a trap, my second-in-command warned. I don't care. I loaded my gun with cold precision. He took what's mine. I arrived at the warehouse alone as demanded. Taewon stood in the center, and behind him, Jawin, bloodied but alive, tied to a chair. Let him go, I said, my voice deadly calm. The mighty Kang Miho, brought to his knees by a pretty boy. Taewon laughed. I raised you better than this. You raised me to be a monster, I said. He taught me to be human again. Then let's test that humanity. Taewon pressed a gun to Jaiwan's head. Your life for his. Get on your knees. I didn't hesitate. I dropped to my knees, placing my gun on the ground. Take me. Let him go. He's innocent in all this. Jaiwan's POV. No! I screamed. Miho, don't. But he wasn't looking at Taewon. He was looking at me, and his eyes held everything: love, regret, determination. I love you, Park Jaiwan, he said clearly. In another life, I would have been worthy of you. Something inside me snapped. This beautiful, broken man was willing to die for me. After everything, the violence, the darkness, the walls, he'd chosen me. And I'd be damned if I let him sacrifice himself. Miho the left. I shouted, remembering the warehouse layout from when they dragged me in. He moved on instinct. His backup, they'd been there all along, hidden in the shadows. Gunfire erupted. I threw myself backward, chair and all, as chaos exploded around us. Miho fought like a demon unleashed. Within minutes, Taiwan's men were down. Taewon himself tried to run, but Miho caught him. This is for my family, Miho said coldly, then pulled the trigger. It was over. Miho cut my ropes, pulling me into his arms so tightly I could barely breathe. I thought I lost you, he choked out. I thought. I'm here, I sobbed into his chest. I'm here. 3 months later. You're sure about this? Jaehoon asked, reviewing the documents one more time. Miho nodded. Everything. Every operation, every corrupt official we paid off, every crime family connection. I'm giving you everything to take down the system. After that night in the warehouse, Miho made his choice. He contacted Jaehoon, negotiated immunity in exchange for testimony that would dismantle organized crime in Seoul. It wasn't easy. There were threats, attempts on our lives, former allies who became enemies. But we survived. Together. Now, standing on our apartment balcony, watching the sunset paint Seoul in gold, Miho wrapped his arms around me from behind. Any regrets? I asked softly. He turned me around, cupping my face with hands that once dealt death but now only held love. My only regret is not finding you sooner. He kissed me deeply, thoroughly. Everything else, the violence, the darkness, it led me to you. So no. No regrets. What do we do now? I smiled against his lips. We live. His eyes sparkled with something I'd never seen before: hope. We open that foundation to help victims of organized crime. We build something beautiful from all this ugliness. We wake up every morning and choose each other. I like that plan. Good. He kissed my forehead. Because you're stuck with me, Park Jaiwan. For the rest of our lives. Promise. I whispered. Promise. As the sun set on our old lives, I realized something. Sometimes the most dangerous love stories have the happiest endings. Not because they're easy, but because two people fought like hell to make them real. And we would keep fighting. Together. Boys.